Recent remarks from President Donald Trump and senior officials within his administration have drawn renewed scrutiny to Minnesota's significant Somali community, highlighting the experiences of immigrants from the conflict-ridden East African nation and their descendants. Trump said he did not want Somalis in the U.S. because they contribute nothing. Shortly after, officials acquainted with the operational details revealed that federal officials are gearing up for a focused immigration enforcement initiative in Minnesota. The president addressed the matter. This operation is set to predominantly target Somali immigrants who are residing in the U.S. without legal status. Here's all you need to know. According to the annual American Community Survey conducted by the Census Bureau, approximately 260,000 individuals of Somali heritage resided in the United States in 2024. The highest concentration of this population can be found in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area, which is home to nearly 84,000 Somali residents, the majority of whom are U.S. citizens. Significant Somali communities are also present in states such as Ohio, Washington, and California. In Minnesota, nearly 58% of the Somali population was born within the United States. Among the foreign-born Somalis in Minnesota, a substantial 87% have become naturalized U.S. citizens. As reported by the Census Bureau, almost half of the foreign-born individuals arrived in the U.S. in 2010 or later. This group largely comprises those who escaped the protracted civil conflict in their East African homeland and were attracted to the state's supportive social programs. Trump has become increasingly focused in recent weeks on Somalis living in the U.S., saying they have caused a lot of trouble. Following allegations from the conservative news outlet City Journal that taxpayer money from defrauded government programs has been funneled to the militant group Al-Shabaab, which is affiliated with Al-Qaeda and exerts control over parts of rural Somalia while frequently attacking the capital, Mogadishu. Trump and other officials from the administration intensified their criticism. In a social media update, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent mentioned that his department is looking into the possibility that hardworking Minnesotans' tax dollars may have been diverted to the terrorist organization. However, so far there has been scant evidence to establish any connection. Additionally, federal prosecutors have not filed charges against any of the numerous defendants involved in recent public program fraud cases in Minnesota for allegedly providing material support to foreign terrorist organizations. In November, Trump announced his decision to end temporary protected status for Somali immigrants residing in Minnesota, which serves as a legal protection against deportation. An August report prepared for Congress indicated that only 705 Somalis across the country were beneficiaries of this program. The announcement met swift criticism from various state officials and immigration specialists who described Trump's statement as a legally questionable tactic aimed at instilling fear and mistrust. Local leaders from the Somali community, along with supporters such as Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, have actively defended the larger Somali population against accusations related to recent significant fraud incidents in public programs. One prominent case is the Feeding Our Future scandal, which federal prosecutors have labeled as the largest COVID-19 related fraud case in the nation. This scheme was designed to provide meals for children during the pandemic. The individuals charged were alleged to have falsely claimed to provide millions of meals to kids. Although the person identified as the main orchestrator of the fraud was white, a substantial number of the accused were Somali, and the majority were U.S. citizens. In recent months, prosecutors have revised their estimate of the total amount stolen from $250 million to $300 million, and the count of defendants has increased to 78 as of last month. The legal cases continue to navigate through the judicial process. In the lead up to the 2026 elections, Republican candidates for governor and various other positions are counting on voters to hold Walz accountable for his inability to safeguard taxpayer interests. Trump has criticized Walz sharply for permitting the fraud to occur under his administration. For several years, officials in Minnesota have faced significant challenges in curbing the recruitment of young Somali men by both the Islamic State and the militant organization Al-Shabaab, which operates out of Somalia. This issue began to emerge in 2007 when over 20 young men traveled to Somalia, a country where many viewed the Ethiopian forces supporting a fragile UN-endorsed government as unwelcome foreign occupiers. Although the majority of those cases were settled years prior, a new one emerged earlier this year. In September, a 23-year-old defendant admitted guilt to charges of trying to supply material support and resources to a recognized foreign terrorist organization. During the 2010s, the Islamic State group notably recruited individuals from Minnesota's Somali community, with officials estimating that around a dozen residents departed to align themselves with militants in Syria. One of the most prominent Somali Americans is undoubtedly Democratic U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, a passionate progressive representing Minneapolis, who often finds herself in the crosshairs of Trump's criticisms. Additionally, a number of Somali Americans have held positions in the Minnesota legislature, as well as on the city councils of Minneapolis and St. Paul. In the recent Minneapolis mayoral race, held in November, State Senator Omar Fateh, who identifies as a Democratic socialist, secured the second position against the incumbent mayor, Jacob Frey.